PlayStation State of Play landed, and it wasn't one of those absolute bangers, but I wouldn't call it bad either. In fact, there was some pretty cool stuff, and of that pretty cool stuff, we're going to talk new stuff. Hi folks, it's Falcon, and today on gameranx, the 10 biggest announcements of PlayStation State of Play 2025. And number 10 is Digimon Storytime Stranger, an interesting one, a surprise to be sure, but a welcome one. So, the Digimon story games are actually pretty awesome. They're kind of Persona, but with Digimon. And Time Stranger looks basically the same, at least in terms of mechanics. Obviously, there's going to be different things. But gameplay is split between the real and the digital worlds. You collect and train Digimon. I mean, it'd be easy to say like Pokemon, but I would say it's closer to Persona. The Cyber Sleuth games were a lot of nostalgic fun, but Time Stranger seems like it's really leaning into it by having some fun time travel stuff going on. So you can pull Digimon from all sorts of eras from the series history to play around with. I like that. For Digimon fans or people who are looking for off-brand Persona and either don't care that or prefer that it's a little less deep and a little more chill, look out for this game. At number 9 is Lies of P Overture. This was an exciting one for me. They finally announced the Lies of P DLC, and wow, does it look good. It's a kind of prequel to the original game, which isn't normally what you get from a DLC, but I will take it. It looks great. Don't know exactly what's going on here, but the more varied environments are intriguing. The bosses they've shown they look like great additions. The directors have called it kind of a director's cut of the game, and it does look like they're kind of throwing in the stuff into the DLC that they weren't able to quite fit in the main game. The snowy environment, it looks awesome. There's an actual circus, finally, which is a lot of fun. A prison, what looks like, I think, a natural history museum. And it's kind of variety of locations. The base game, I mean, it didn't need to be good. Lies of P is a great game, but man, it's cool to see. The new weapons look fun, too, especially the bow and arrow. Lies of P is an excellent game. Somewhat surprisingly, but not, I mean, and if anybody who's paying attention to it kind of knew it was going to be good, in my opinion. The DLC looks like it is going to be great as well. At number 8 is Darwin's Paradox, one of the many actually new game announcements at State of Play. And while these games aren't all AAA showstoppers, they do look pretty fresh and interesting. And guess what? It's not all just sequels and remakes. Darwin's Paradox is this side-scroller. Reminds me of kind of like Inside, but mechanically a little more complex. You play a charming little octopus pulled out of the sea, and now you have to escape the suffocatingly gray and horribly dangerous human world. It looks like one of those cinematic platformers. It's pretty scripted with lots of set pieces and chase scenes. Playing as an octopus looks like it definitely does have some advantages. You can climb on everything, and I guess that makes a little more sense with the suction cups than on Echidna, I guess. But yeah, you can jump far, you can camouflage yourself to hide from humans, who, by the way, all want to turn you to calamari. It looks like a fun game. It looks different. But what's probably the most surprising aspect is coming to us from Konami. At number 7 is Onimusha, Way of the Sword. Finally, we got a trailer, a first look at this Onimusha game, and no surprise, it looks freaking awesome. This time around, you're playing as legendary swordsman Miyamoto Musashi, and his philosophy of winning at any cost actually seems to be a major part of the gameplay. You're able to do stuff like throw enemies' capes over their heads so they can't see. You can push enemies into fires, kick tables at them. Combat looks as visceral as the original games, but with more creative environmental interactions. I think that should make this game stand out quite a bit. It's also fun that the new protagonist is a little less po-face this time around, more of the trickster type. That should be fun. Once again, they've modeled the main character after a Japanese actor, so all the traditional elements of this series, they're all still there. I'm glad it doesn't look like a Souls game, not that I have problems with Souls-likes. I'm also happy that it's not quite just Devil May Cry in old Japan. I'm glad it's charting its own course, living up to the old games, and trying to do it in the modern age. And number 6 is Dreams of Another. We had to throw this one on the list. I mean, it's a game where you're a little Nemo-looking guy in striped pajamas with an MP5 strapped on your back. Instead of using guns to destroy, you actually use them to help build up the world and make things appear, which is pretty unique. When I heard the premise of the game, I assumed that shooting would be abstracted somehow, but no. You're just using machine guns and bazookas to make doors appear, which, yeah, defies explanation, but actually looks pretty interesting. The trailer narration leads me to believe it could be pretentious as hell. I'm not gonna lie. It's already one of those dreamscape games where nothing really makes sense. Trailer looks a little rough around the edges for one of these types of games, but like I said, I think it might be interesting. It's definitely got an intriguing premise, if nothing else. And number 5 is Blueprints. So this is a first-person puzzle game. I think it has kind of a fun and interesting, unique idea. It takes a standard puzzle where you rearrange rooms and, you know what I mean? You gotta move stuff around, put things in certain places. It makes it the whole game. And the thing is, it looks like you can change room layouts and you can rearrange the order of rooms on the fly. And that's your primary way of exploring and solving the puzzles. There's 45 rooms in total, and the central goal is to find the mysterious room 46. The developer says there's lots of secrets in this one. That's always good for, a game like this. It's coming in spring 2025, and there's actually a demo for it on Steam if you're really curious. I haven't got to play it yet, but I'm going to because it's weird. It looks different. And number 4 is Tides of Annihilation. Action games are back, folks. And I say this with zero hesitation. I could not be more excited. The newly announced Tides of Annihilation looks like something between God of War and Nier Automata, with a little bit of the aesthetic of Elden Ring crossed with Bayonetta there, I guess. Make no mistake, this is the Platinum formula at play. They have added this Spectral Knight dual character system. I don't know exactly what that means, but I do know that I saw this and I got pretty hyped. Like, they really came out swinging with this. It's pure spectacle, gigantic enemies, flashy combos, 30 plus unique boss fights, which is, with this kind of combat, that's a lot of boss fights. And the trailer just looks extremely promising. It looks reminiscent of the old school of action games with a more modern visual flair. I got very, very intense Bayonetta vibes from it. I don't know exactly what the Spectral Knight thing is going to work out as, just plain old assistant or something more Final Fantasy remake control type something going on. I don't know. It could be either, but it's certainly an interesting wrinkle to the hacking and the slashing. This is one to look out for. I am completely on board with Tides of Annihilation. And number 3 is Metal Eden. It's nice to see that we're finally at this point where these hyper-fast FPS shooters aren't niche indie games anymore. Metal Eden looks like Titanfall without the wall running, which, I like the wall running. I could have used the wall running, but I don't care. Metal Eden looks pretty great. Doom Eternal looks to be an influence here, too. You got the arenas and the mix of melee and shooting. There's a little Ghost Runner in there, too, with the cyberpunk setting and the emphasis on speed. The game, I think, is drawing on a lot of things, clearly has a lot of inspirations, but it looks promising. There's a great variety of weapons here. It looks like it's leaning towards the sort of power fantasy FPS games rather than the brutally hard ones. Or that could just be the trailer. I don't know. I'm fine with it being either of those types of games. So it's 12 in one hand, a dozen in the other. I've got some high hopes for it. And this one's coming out relatively soon, on May 6th this year. And number 2 is Mindseye, an unexpected one. Starting with the story trailer's kind of a trip. It starts off looking like some kind of sci-fi dark pictures type game, but switches in this crazy third-person shooting. I was not expecting. Did you expect that from anything you were looking at here? Not I, said the rooster. There's driving, there's third-person shooting. You can control drones from the air. It looks like a lot of fun wrapped up in a cinematic cyberpunk story. Seeing all that driving, I was kind of curious if it was an open-world game, but, there's no confirmation, and I don't actually think it is. From everything I'm seeing here, it looks like a cinematic narrative game. It's just that it's set in this quasi-futuristic city that looks like it could be open world, but I don't think it is. Still, they're showing off some pretty impressive crap here. The story looks pretty intriguing as well. I will absolutely take that type of a game plus actually interesting game mechanics. They're saying it's coming out summer this year, so it's not too far off. Hopefully it really delivers, because honestly, a lot of promise here. And finally, at number 1, it's Saros. It's a little disappointing because it's not an actual gameplay trailer, just cinematic, but it does reveal a lot of key information about what this game is. Once you know it's House Marquis' follow-up to Returnal, the trailer makes a lot more sense. You play as a dude on an alien world that resets every time the sun dies. He's got a big gun. Aliens are bizarre and grotesque. There's even the reflection of a crazy bullet pattern near the end of the trailer, so it's pretty clear what the mysteriously titled Saros is going to be. It's the spiritual successor to Returnal. So it's going to be a roguelike with super fast, responsive third-person shooting in an alien world with some elements of bullet hell incorporated in the action. action. It's more returnal, and that's nothing but a good thing. There's an emphasis on the words come back stronger, which implies it's going to have some kind of built-in progression system, so you're not always back to square one after each run. But that's also just speculation on our part. There's not a lot known about this. All we got is 2026 as a release date, which is a long way off, but I'm excited to see more. I do have some bonus games for you. First, Directive 8020, the story reveal, no longer branded a Dark Pictures game. The next horror adventure from Supermassive still looks pretty fun. It's a premise that has you crossing the thing with Alien, basically. That's kind of what it looks like. Space setting looks like it's going to mix stuff up, and a shape-shifting monster could add some fun wrinkles to the usual decision-making you're doing in their games. Coming out October 2nd, just in time for Halloween. Also, next, Days Gone Remastered. We're not getting a sequel, at least yet, but at least PlayStation hasn't forgotten about the series. As far as remasters go, this is probably not a huge graphical update, but it does look nicer. It's going to add some fun bonus game modes. Also, the permadeath and speedrun modes, they're nice, but the horde survival stuff looks pretty awesome. Those were some of the most solid parts of the first game, so getting an entire mode dedicated to mowing down massive hordes of zombies, or freakers as they are called in this game, it's a solid add. Good to see Days Gone get more of a critical reevaluation. Honestly, a better game than it got credit for. Remaster isn't far off, coming out 25th of April. Next one is WWE 2K25. Might as well be subtitled Microtransaction Island. It's actually called The Island, but you know. I'll tell you, if there's one thing WWE 2K games need, it's more live service crap like the NBA 2K games. Yeah, WWE's getting its own version of The City, a live service social hub meant to drive engagement. Engagement meaning microtransactions. This sucks. I'm not even gonna even pretend. I try to be positive about things going in, but I'm not. NBA 2K's version is just a more annoying version of a menu that feels super out of place, and it's basically there just to corral you into spending money. Frustrating. Borderlands 4 got a release date. It's actually not too far off. It's coming September 23rd, 2025. That movie sure left a blight on it, so I hope they do better. Third game was kind of annoying as well, so I want to see Borderlands 4 be returned to form. Action looks fun. The writers have talked a lot about working on their humor. Personally, I'm just glad that it's not a live service game. It'd be so easy for them to do, and they haven't, which is something. Next, we got a release date trailer for Elden Ring Night Rain. Kind of wasn't expecting how close this is. May 30th is when Night Rain is going to land. It looks pretty big in terms of departure from what From Software games generally are. They're swapping out the slow caution of their Souls games with more frantic multiplayer action. Kind of bizarre, but it looks fun as hell, so I'm going to be there day one for sure. Next is Five Nights at Freddy's Secret of the Mimic. The next first-person Five Nights at Freddy's game is coming. Security Breach was a technical mess, but the actual game had fun ideas and actually looked pretty good. This looks like an evolution of those ideas. Hopefully, it isn't a technical mess. Next is Shinobi Art of Vengeance. The Streets of Rage 4 team returns to another classic Sega property with Shinobi, and let me tell you, I could not be more excited. I freaking love Shinobi, both 2D and 3D. I cannot overstate how excited I am for this one. It looks fantastic. The animation is it's out of control. Gameplay looks really polished. It's what I want out of a Shinobi game. And guess what? Sonic Racing Crossworlds, a new Sonic racing game. They're taking some of the magic from Sonic and Sega All-Stars Racing Transformed and introducing different universes and new transforming vehicle modes. Transformed was easily the best Sonic racing game so far. There are people that like it better than or at least some of the Mario Kart games. I am all there for more of this because I also very much enjoy All-Stars Racing Transformed. And with that, that's all for today. Leave us a comment. Let us know what you think. If you like this video, click like. If you're not subscribed, now's a great time to do so. We upload brand new videos every day of the week. Best way to see them first is, of course, a subscription, so click subscribe. Don't forget to enable notifications. And as always, thank you very much for watching this video. I'm Falcon. You can follow me on Twitter and book me on Cameo at Falcon the Hero. We'll see you next time right here on GameRanx.